Coming to you from Farmer Dave's Kitchen here in Dracut, Massachusetts, I'm Stacey.
I'm Denise.
And we're here to help you prepare your share. In this episode, we're making an apple Dutch Baby Pancake. Why a pancake on VEGISODEs? It's a perfect vehicle for the fruit from your CSA stash, whether it's apples in your crisper, frozen blueberries, or frozen peaches.
Yum. The base recipe is quick and easy and can be made right in a blender. A large oven-proof skillet, cast iron is great, is what you'll need, or a 9 by 13 inch glass baking pan.
Everybody's got these.
Everyone's got one of those, and a skillet to saute your apples.
Which we have.
There you go.
Getting warm right here.
Perfect.
And here's how we make the Dutch Baby. I'm going to read off the directions while Denise preps everything in there. 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And hopefully we don't wind up getting this all over ourselves. There we go. And then 1 cup of milk.
Here's 1 cup.
And then 1/4 of a cup of sugar.
1/4 of a cup of sugar.
Yep.
You like my fancy measuring?
It's close enough with this. We're not baking necessarily.
No. My
so.
home ec teacher would be so mad at me.
I know. 4 eggs. We decided not to crack them on camera just because that would be kind of funny. And some vanilla,
And some
please.
vanilla. I like vanilla.
And then I put a little bit of salt in front of you there. We just want like a teaspoon.
Okay.
So now this is just going to get blended together. And once we hit on, we're going to stop talking because it's going to get a little loud.
Go ahead. Hit the button.
Ready?
Go for it.
So after about 10 seconds, we're going to take the top off and go back in with a spatula because you will have flour that's going to kind of clump up along the sides. So we're just going to scrape it down and then blend it again.
A little over here.
That's that. That's in front. I'll pass you that on that side.
Yep. We're good.
So you
We're
can
good.
see. Here we go.
This is great little
Nice big.
squeezy. Okay. Good.
Nice
Good.
and
Good.
thin. Beautiful.
There you go.
Okay.
Give it one more little whirl. Ta-da!
Perfect.
Great. Okay.
There we go.
Next.
Now we set this aside. Everything is blended really thoroughly, but we want to make sure that the flour absorbs all that liquid and it doesn't, it's kind of like cooking out the flour, things like that. So we're going to set this aside.
Sounds good.
And while that sits,
Yep.
apples.
Apple.
Let's start talking about apples. So right here we've got about 3 apples that are all chopped up.
Yep.
And when we go to chop the apples, I leave the skins on them.
Okay.
I think it's delicious
And
like
we're
that.
preheating the oven, right? 425 on your oven.
Preheating the oven, and then we wind up putting, we're going to do them in the glass baking dishes today. That's probably the most common thing that you
Sure.
have. So those are going to be in the oven. Those are getting hot. And then we're going to add everything. So I won't
Beautiful.
chop all these in front of you, but these are all about the size
Super
that we
simple.
want them. Super simple.
Yep. And skins on.
I like the skins on.
Yes,
That's
so do I.
personal preference. So then we've had this heating up,
Yeah. So about a tablespoon of butter.
all in here.
Perfect.
Then would you mind scooping that in for me?
Absolutely.
There we go.
There we go.
So the nice thing about this, I'm going to put this down, is
Yeah.
we can spice this any way you want to spice it, which is a lot of fun. So if you have a lot of spices in your cabinet. So would you like some cinnamon?
Cinnamon. I
And
feel like
then
I'm more of the simple girl and just want a few things.
I like the cinnamon, and then I like fresh nutmeg on apples.
It always smells
I think that's
so
really,
great.
really, really nice. And then we'll get that stirred up. And then would you put just a smidge of sugar?
Yes.
Just a tiny bit. It just gets the apples going.
Just kind of get them going a
The
little bit.
nice thing about this pancake is it hardly has any sugar in it at all between the batter and this, so it's not a sweet.
Right, it's not
kind of a
overly
dessert.
sweet by any means. We have a batch of batter here all ready to go. This batter needs to be added to the hot pan. So we just need to move a few little things around
because it's
here.
hot. There we go.
We want to get rid
Now,
of the blender.
This is the blender that's been sitting with the batch that we already did.
Okay.
And then we did another batch right here because we have 2 pans going.
All right.
So now I'm just going to get that out.
Perfect.
Here we go. Pan 1.
Beautiful. One pan. Excellent.
Pan 2.
So about 5 minutes before you're ready to put the pan you're using in the oven to heat up. This is kind of what we did beforehand. So now these are nice and warm.
Quite warm.
Quite warm.
Need to grease it.
Yes.
So we're just buttering the bottom and the sides. You guys can see this sizzle.
Sizzle, sizzle.
And this is exactly what you want. And the reason you're doing the sides as well is because the pancake is going to puff. And you want it to have the butter on the sides so that the actual batter will crawl up the sides. It's kind of like a souffle, I guess would be a good way of describing this.
Makes sense.
Like that. So that's 1.
And then 2.
And let's see if we can.
Super easy.
I mean, that's it. It's doing the batter, heating the pan, and then it just gets poured in. And
love
it's
this.
not doing a million pancakes on the top of the stove, which isn't necessarily my thing.
And then where's our cinnamon sugar?
Right here.
So
Which would
now
be
that the
great.
butter is in, we're going to sprinkle 2 to 3 tablespoons of a sugar cinnamon blend. And we just made this by adding cinnamon and sugar in a bowl. Nothing fancy there.
Super easy.
Nothing fancy there. Sometimes the simplest things are the best.
I just love cinnamon sugar on whatever you put it on. I think it's
Exactly.
it's great.
Okay, so then we're going to gently pour the batter into the pan. You can see how simple this is.
And there's 1.
Excellent.
And here's 2. Take that
Yep,
off if you
there's
want to
the
pour the
second
second
one.
one. Whoops.
And then,
We're really cooking.
yeah, this is really happening here.
And then every now and then, obviously, we have a little piece of flour here. So you know what? All I'm doing
Just mix it right
is
in.
stirring it right in.
There you
This
go.
is going to be in the hot oven. It's not a huge clump. It was just a little
No,
bit. That
there's just a
didn't-
little one.
little
Okay.
bit.
Then we want a little more of the cinnamon sugar on top.
You want the honors?
I do, because I love this part.
I'll glove up.
Glove up. Let's go. Maybe be a little heavy-handed on that one, but that's all right.
Cinnamon sugar.
It's cinnamon
How can
sugar.
it be wrong?
Seriously. All right.
So back in the oven.
Yeah. Do you want me to get the door?
If you would mind getting the door,
I
that would be
love
great.
to. Here we go. All right. So we're placing in the oven. We're going to bake about 15 to 20 minutes. The pancake is definitely going to puff, but once removed from the oven, it will gradually deflate a little bit, so don't worry about that part. And we actually have one ready for you.
Here we go. And this will
Perfect.
cook. What I normally do is 20 minutes.
Yep.
Check. And then just kind of do 5-minute increments. I
Increments
think.
if need be.
It really depends on the oven. And then if you notice your oven having a hot spot, maybe rotate the pans if you're doing more than one, or
if
just
need be.
change.
Exactly.
So here we go. I think
Is
this
that
is
too
all.
hot to touch?
Nope.
All right.
It's nice and cool.
So this one's done.
And that's what it looks like.
We've spooned the apple mixture over the top, and all we need to do is cut and serve this.
I mean, this is the one with it all done. And that's the one without the apple mixture on it.
Beautiful.
And all you're going to do
So easy.
is spread that. Now, if you do it with other fruit, just consider the amount of juice some of the frozen fruit will hold.
Right.
Blueberries are great. They don't usually give off that much juice, but when
Right.
you get into raspberries and strawberries and even maybe diced peaches that you've frozen, so depending on how much juice, you may want to drain them before you put them on the batter. You just
Before
kind
you
of have to
start-
make
yeah.
a judgment call on
No,
that one.
makes sense.
Want to taste?
Yes. And this is obviously going to be equally delicious cold for a snack the next day, or maybe a slice for breakfast with coffee.
I think it's great. Here we go. Oh, this is great. It didn't stick at all.
Oh, perfect. I think we buttered that quite well. That's huge.
It is huge. I'm just going to put it here. You and I can both share it.
Not a problem.
It's really not an issue.
Alrighty. You know I was going for this corner.
I'm going to eat out of this corner that I left in the pan.
Go for it. Go for it. That's really good.
And that's the one I used anise in instead of vanilla.
I can taste the anise. It's so good.
So this is great for playing with your spices as well as playing with your extracts. Those, recipes that you're like, oh, I want to try this extract, and then you never use it again.
That's great.
It's a great time to do it.
Enjoy.
Enjoy it. Thanks.